So what I want to do here is have a discussion about Captain America's shield in both the comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what I'm hoping is that at the end of all this, you'll have a stronger understanding of how it works, as well as why it's such a staple of his character's identity. So in Marvel Comics, the history of Captain America's shield can actually be traced in line with the history of Wakanda, where Steve Rogers was originally provided a shield composed of a bulletproof metal in the shape of a heater shield similar to the designs of the 12th century. In the second issue of the original Captain America comics, the heater shield was transitioned to a circular shield. Now outside of the comics, the reason for this change came in that the magazine publisher MLJ Magazines had issued a cease and desist letter to Marvel Comics owing to the fact that the design of Captain America's shield was identical to that of a character owned by MLJ Magazines. As a result, artist Jack Kirby redesigned the shield, giving it a circular design. Now having said that, in terms of continuity, in 2010 underwriter Reginald Hudlin, the 4-part miniseries Black Panther, Captain America, Flags of Our Fathers established that in the months leading up to the end of World War II, Captain America and Nick Fury, alongside his Howling Commandos, had led a mission to halt the efforts of Adolf Hitler, Baron von Strucker, and Johann Schmidt from invading the nation of Wakanda and seizing its vibranium stores. However, during the conflict, Captain America's original shield was destroyed, but when the efforts of the Nazis were staved off and as a token of thanks, Azari, the Black Panther at the time and the grandfather of T'Challa, had provided Rogers with a sample of vibranium, while Steve Rogers himself went on to have a new shield commissioned. Having said that, while the circular shield is a mainstay of Steve Rogers, its development came in an attempt by metallurgist Myron McLean, who was hired by the US government for the purpose of using the vibranium sample to produce an indestructible shield for Rogers. Covered in Captain America Volume 1, Issues 302 and 303, as well as Avengers Volume 1, Issue number 66, these stories establish that during his attempts to blend vibranium with a metal alloy, the accidental success led to the formation of Captain America's shield, which exists as a form of vibranium which has never been duplicated. The reason for this was due to the fact that Myron had actually fallen asleep during the blending process, leaving him unable to recreate it. While he had attempted to do so, the resulting metal formed from his efforts came to be known as Adamantium. As a result, and in order to differentiate between the two materials, the shield of Captain America is normally referred to as a proto-adamantium vibranium and exists as the only source of the material, while the material bonded to Wolverine's skeleton is referred to as true adamantium and is actually slightly weaker than the material of Captain America's shield. Now in terms of its capabilities, the shield of Captain America is, for all intents and purposes, completely indestructible by normal means. The reason for this comes with the nature of vibranium, in that by its very design, vibranium literally absorbs any and all sound and kinetic energy directed towards it, and uses those energies to enhance the metal's properties, meaning that the harder Captain America's shield is hit, the stronger it becomes. At the same time, the proto-adamantium within the shield serves as a kind of reinforcement to the vibranium metal, making the shield more durable than it would have been if it were composed entirely of vibranium by itself. However, the shield's ability to absorb sound and kinetic energy produced during the attacks has its limits, in that if enough energy is exerted on the shield at one time, the shield itself would be destroyed entirely. While this has happened on several occasions, the most notable of these came during the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, when Thanos had used the power gem within the gauntlet to shatter Captain America's shield with a single hit, and beings like Franklin Richards, Owen Reese, or Mad Jim Jaspers who possess enough power to control the molecular structure of matter can simply eliminate the shield entirely or transform it into something else. Now regarding Rogers' use of the shield, where common belief holds that the shield may contain some kind of magnets or psychic link to Rogers, instead, his ability to throw the shield and have it returned to him is actually just a byproduct of the super soldier serum. Because the formula enhances all the attributes of Rogers, both physical and mental, while it doesn't make him a scientific genius, it did enhance his understanding of geometry and trigonometry, allowing him to throw the shield at certain angles to ensure that the ricochet process would bring the shield back to him, while achieving his desired attack in the process. So with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, aside from the benefits of enhanced speed, strength, durability, and reflexes that came with Rogers' exposure to Project Rebirth, Captain America has a unique fighting style and that he isn't a straightforward smashing machine and instead implements a combination of martial arts styles like kickboxing, taekwondo, judo, and American boxing alongside military strategy. To this end, Steve Rogers is able to use the shield as an extension of his own body, ricocheting off objects to strike enemies in unexpected ways. As a result, Rogers is often seen changing up his attacks or using the environment in battle, such as bouncing the shield off multiple opponents or going from a straight attack to a choke, as it was seen in the Winter Soldier fight. At the same time, fighting offensively with only a shield is an unheard of concept, and that even within Marvel Comics, some of the most skilled fighters, including Daredevil, Taskmaster, and Elektra, fight with a combination of martial arts, swords, staves, scythes, or even guns. This combined with the reflective properties of the shield and Captain America's already augmented fighting prowess are greatly increased by way of distraction and disorientation. Now, following Steve Rogers undertaking the super soldier formula during Project Rebirth in the first Captain America film, instead of immediately seeing battle, instead, he was primarily used to tour around the United States in a colorful Captain America costume for the purpose of propaganda. During this time, the shield he carried was a throwback to the original Captain America comics from the 1940s, in that Steve Rogers donned a heater-shaped shield similar to those used in Europe during the 12th century, but was painted to resemble the American flag. Now, where the movie would go on to reveal that Bucky Barnes had been taken prisoner alongside multiple soldiers who would go on to form the Howling Commandos, after returning from the rescue mission and re-entering World War II as a fighting soldier, Howard Stark presented Steve Rogers with a discus-shaped shield that's actually synonymous with Captain America. Now, to sidetrack here and delve into a bit of history of Vibranium, in the MCU, prior to World War II, Howard Stark discovered Vibranium while exploring one of the deepest jungles in Wakanda, which was used to craft the shield made out of the material and bring it back to the United States. Now, while we won't know much about Wakanda as a society until the introduction of Black Panther during and after Civil War, because Age of Ultron saw Ulysses Klaue operating as a black market dealer in Vibranium, and because Wakanda has remained hidden from the world and the larger MCU until now, it can largely be assumed that Howard Stark's entry into Wakanda was not sanctioned, and much like Ulysses Klaue, the Vibranium attained by Howard Stark was done so illegally and smuggled out of the country. Having said that, the known properties of Vibranium are that it's stronger than steel, but only a third of the weight, and it's completely vibration absorbent, meaning it can absorb or deflect nearly any and all kinetic or energy-based attacks. Something to also point out here is that during the events of Avengers when Thor hit Captain America's shield with his hammer, if the nature of Vibranium in the MCU held true to the comics, the impact would have made no sounds of any kind. But be that as it may, much like the comics, Captain America's shield does have its limits. As witnessed in Age of Ultron, the limits of Roger's shield came by way of Ultron himself, and that because both Ultron's body and Captain America's shield are composed completely of Vibranium, when a combination of Vision's Mind Stone powered energy beam, Iron Man's repulsors, and lightning bolts from Mjolnir were able to melt away Ultron's outer shell, the argument produced by Marvel was that with sufficient heat or energy, the absorption principles of Vibranium were capable of being completely overwhelmed. Having said that, there are several unique things about the shield which differentiate it from its comic book counterpart. The combination of the shield's design and its Vibranium properties make the shield nearly immune to wind resistance, allowing it to travel as hard and as fast as Captain America wants it to. In addition to this, it has a unique ricochet property, allowing it to reflect off of objects and lose very little momentum in the process. As an example, in Captain America the First Avenger, during the motorcycle chase scene, Captain America was shown to throw the shield, have it ricochet and strike several enemies before catching it mid-flight. Furthermore, during the Avengers film, Iron Man's repulsor beams were reflected off the shield against the Tatarian army, a feat that's remained unseen in the comics so far. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this discussion about Captain America's shield, and I'm actually thinking about doing a video on Captain America's fighting styles, which I think would be pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think about that in the description, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.